I told you I'm not good on the cut. You can't put me on the spot for those things. They don't ever come to me.
No, they don't. They really don't.
No, but everybody listens just to hear Zeke's, like, wisdom. So they always want to hear him say something. I mean, man pooped on the side of a building one time when he was running and told everybody about it.
I had to go.
And sometimes you got it.
Did you see the YouTube where that lady took a dump in the store in Canada?
No.
Yeah, they wouldn't let her in the bathroom. Like, it was no public bathroom. I mean, just pooped right there in the store and then grabbed a bunch of napkins, wiped her ass, and then threw the napkins and the poop at the people behind the counter.
Even better.
Canadians.
The finishing move there is priceless. Although I feel like that's got to be something that folks in New Orleans...
You gotta look it up.
I feel like folks in New Orleans have to see that all the time, though. You know, like...
Yeah, but the problem, they don't, like... I don't think the people in New Orleans pick it up and throw it at you. They're just like, I'm just going to go have a dump in the street real quick.
That's an extra level.
She was bitter.
And they ask you, like, do you need some napkins? Like, oh, that'd be nice. Yeah, thanks.
But I bet they were thinking after that, like, we should have just let that woman go to the bathroom.
To me, it's the exact opposite. I'm like, this is why you have big signs that say no public restrooms, right? It's just like the Big Lebowski moment. Like, you see what happens?
I just want to know who chewed the ass out of the person for giving away the napkins. What'd you give her the napkins for?
Yeah,
At least on the floor.
Because she was like throwing dookie at me, dude. Like, what? I wasn't giving her napkins. I was trying to get my own. Yeah, but look it up. It's hilarious.
All right, that's a good open. Hello, everyone. My name is John Edwards, and with me is Zeke Baker, and together we make the Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, thank you for making us a part of your day. Say hello to the folks, Zeke.
Hello.
Hello. That's all you got today? You don't have anything else?
You didn't tell me to say sentences or words or do a cartwheel or anything.
Well, you normally have more than that. You normally have something to bring to the table. You spent today?
Oh, I got stuff I brought to the table, bud. Don't you worry.
Well,
I have a good friend with us today. Well, is that not enough to bring to the table, John?
No, I was going to say we have a man who brought more to the table than you because he has 3 bottles sitting at this table and the best whiskey bar in Nashville behind us. We are sitting here in Gertie's bar for kitchen. The man sitting to my right, the man, the myth, the legend, Chef Matt Bolus. Thank you very much for joining the Dads. It's great to have you.
Yeah, thank you for coming down. It's always fun to do this at the office.
I know.
Someone else's office.
If this is my office, if this is your office, and if this were my office, I would be a very, very happy man.
Well, I mean, we don't. So, other than Sunday, we're not open in the morning or the afternoon. We do brunches here Sunday, so people are here. But Monday through Saturday, there's really nobody here until 2-ish. I get in 8:30 in the morning, and so I can just kind of chill and come down here and sometimes shut the blinds, turn the bar lights on, whatever, and yeah, it's quiet. You get the low hum of the HVAC, and you just look at stuff.
Thank you for pointing that out, too, for anyone who's listening. There might be a low hum in this episode.
I feel like it's maybe a 2-tiered office setup. You can come in here and get creative juices flowing, so to speak, and then go back and hit the kitchen and really go to town.
Yeah, it's like a noise machine, right? I mean, it's supposed to soothe you so you can sleep better. That's all this is.
My daughter sleeps with one of those, so it's perfect.
It's my wife, that, and earplugs, and apparently I still snore. Or she said the other day when she woke me up, "You're making alien noises." What does that mean? Maybe that wasn't me.
Yeah, the earplugs are definitely, I think every wife has earplugs next to the bed. Yeah. And just blames everything on us all the time. The one question everybody wants to know, though, you ever take a nap on this couch in here?
I've taken a nap on this couch, yeah.
So if you're sitting here...
It's a comfortable couch. I mean, it's not... I don't want it at home, but it's...
So if you're sitting in Gertie's bar, chances are Chef has sat down and taken a little snooze on this thing.
Look looks great.
I didn't
Looks
mean
nice and
to.
plush.
It's happened a couple of times. I didn't mean to the first time, probably the third or fourth or fifth or however many times it's happened. But yeah, you come down here and you get away from things, and you're laying there, and typically, like the rest of us, or the rest of America and the world, we're on our phone answering an email or a text or getting caught up on something, and then you eventually like go to social media and you're flipping through that, which turns into like a Scrabble game or something, and then you fall asleep. And then you wake up and you think, oh, I just fell asleep at work. That's bad.
Oh, it's okay. Nobody's here to text you.
No, I feel you. I get
Except the guys in the kitchen are like, Chef. Yeah. Hey, just down. I was just getting caught up on emails. I'm on the phone.
I used to get chewed for that for forever. I think all through college, I ended up learning how to sleep on a sofa really well in any position. So now, every night, fall asleep watching TV.
Right.
You used to come down there and get yelled at somewhere between 2 and 4, and I think she finally gave up. Like, I don't care. If he's not complaining about a crook in his neck or laying in some awkward position, oh well.
So
No, that's it. It's true. It's just like I can sleep anywhere, and it's funny. My wife will wake me up and say, "Why don't you go to bed?" It's like I was asleep. Maybe you missed that when you woke me up. Was I disturbing any? I wasn't. Leave me alone, then.
all of these sound like things I've heard. Things I've heard myself.
Coming out of your own mouth, right?
Oh, there. I liked the other morning. My daughter woke up at 6, and sometimes when that happens, I let her get in bed, and my wife had gone over to the couch. And so it was my daughter and I in the bed, but I put cartoons on. I put like Mickey and the Roadster Racers or Frozen or something on.
Right.
And my wife was like, well, you fell back asleep. And I said, well, what did you expect me to do? I put the cartoon on so I could fall back asleep.
Yeah, so they're occupado.
Yeah.
And how about a sleepo? That's done.
That extra 30 minutes, people don't understand how
Extra
much that
20.
means.
Truly, I can power nap it. It's getting up that really bothers you when you take a nap. And for me, I've just realized after almost 42 years of life, I hate waking up. I don't mind getting very little sleep. I don't necessarily I'm not the kind of guy that can just lay down in bed and go to sleep. Like if I'm really tired, I'll stand up in that corner and go to sleep. My wife doesn't understand, like there's so much going on like in my head all the time that I can't just turn it off and lay down and go to sleep.
Well, let's talk about that before
Yeah.
we even get into all of the whiskey here.
Oh.
First and foremost, you are a chef. Anybody who's seen the progression of 404 Kitchen in Nashville knows that you opened this up. It was across the street. It was in a shipping container, so it was super cool. There was wasn't there a hotel on the back that had like
Still
one
is.
room?
Not 5. Yeah, we knocked it down to 4. We opened the pizza joint. We took one of the rooms for a bigger kitchen.
Super cool concept. Nobody else in Nashville
Yeah.
ever had a restaurant in a shipping container up until that point. It was great food. It was a
There's
great
reasons
location.
for that.
But it was great food in a great location. It was before the Gulch turned into what the Gulch is now. I think the only thing that was around then was the Icon. But how did you get started? How do you get started? What got you into cooking and then eventually opening your own restaurant?
The long version or the short version?
We have whiskey. We can.
The long version's just like a half a second longer than the short version, but it sounds fancy to say the long version or the short version. Sounds more interesting. No, I got into cooking with my mom. My parents both had careers. My dad traveled a lot, and my mom's business was on the property that I grew up on. And I don't know, for whatever reason, I guess I had this source of inspiration. I mean, to tell you the truth, I'd probably done something wrong and was trying to make amends. And I called her down at work and asked her if I could help out around the house somehow. And because most preteens do that, right?
Yeah, that's the first thing I think of every
especially
day.
boys. I'd probably blown some shit up or something. I don't know. I was trying to say I'm sorry before she even found out about it. By the way, the vacuum's screwed.
But I made dinner.
I tried to build a robot. Yeah, here's some spaghetti. Cheers. But yeah, I mean, it was, she was like, yeah, you can vacuum the house. Can't do that. The vacuum's gone. You can fold laundry. I'm like, oh man, that's just that's just not interesting at all. It's like, why don't you cook dinner? And I thought, I remember making this dish in Boy Scouts, and it was spaghetti. It's just, meat. So I started doing it. And I told her what I was going to do, and she said, okay, I'll be up there in a little bit. And she comes home, and I'm making the spaghetti. And I distinctly remember this. It's weird. She made me pour all the fat off of the meat after I had gotten done cooking it. Now, I don't mean like I French butter and onions and garlic. I mean, I just threw some Kroger's meat in a pan. I don't even think I used salt and pepper, right? And but I had to pour all the meat, all the fat off of it. And I remember telling her it's not what we did at scout camp. And she's like, yeah, but you don't want that much fat in there. It's not good for you. So then I boiled the noodles and put the Prego in there, or whatever jarred sauce we had. And then we had spaghetti dinner. And I remember thinking, man, this doesn't taste the same. And I never knew why until years later, and I got into this career, and it dawned on me like, oh, pour the fat out, right? Pour a lot of flavor out. And from there, it was just something that I guess my mom and I kind of bonded over doing. And like I said, my dad, and he worked for Pilot Oil, and he would take off on a plane with the ex-governor and his brother, and they'd be gone until Saturday. He'd be Monday, come back Saturday or Friday night. And so Mom and I were, home most of the time together. And she was always encouraging, like, hey, I think we should take cabbage and, this crazy spice that I found on the counter that I can't even pronounce, and the cabinet can't even pronounce, and, we should microwave it for like 27 minutes. She's like, that's going to blow up. But man, if you got to do it, let's try it. And then, it would just turn into absolute just horrific bad. And we'd go to Cracker Barrel and get dinner or whatever. And, but, it was just one of those, like, hey, you're the girl you're dating in high school, and it's like, man, I should make Annie a cake. She's like, you should, because it goes out and buys the heart cake molds, and, it was just a box cake, but we made it together and iced it and all that. So it was kind of that, and it's just, I don't know, I just found that if I didn't try hardly at all, I could make decent food. If I applied myself a little bit, I could make good food. If I really put myself into it, I could make decent food. And I didn't want to do it. I wanted to be a stupid rich, whatever gazillionaire on Wall Street, fancy cars and helicopters and houses and boats and all the unimportant things in life. So that's what I did. I went to college and studied finance, and I worked in restaurants all through college. Got to work for Merrill Lynch, and I made a ton of money, and I hated every day of my life. I realized one day, sitting and looking at how much money I had made that week, and thinking about how much happier I was at midnight on my hands and knees scrubbing a floor in a kitchen with the camaraderie and the euphoric feeling of going through a rough service and cooking good food. And over the subsequent weeks, I started thinking about, man, you have a good day and you go home and cook a big dinner, invite people over. You have a bad day, you do the same. Office, everybody brings a treat in. Like, everybody stops by Krispy Kreme, and we end up with 14 different boxes of Krispy Kreme that are inevitably the same donut. I'm the idiot that stays up until 3 a.m, hand rolling butter into brioche. I don't even know why. It just sounded like something like, man, that much butter and bread sounds really good. And then I'm gonna put some really nice chocolate in there and bake it all off. I mean, the ladies at the office
are gonna love it.
I didn't think that. They blew up about it. I thought, shit, I just made some muffins, right? It's just muffins, aren't they? Not muffins. Like, I made brioche by hand. Literally, one of the girls I worked with, she's like, I just called my mom, and she told me if I met a man that hand rolled brioche, like, I should marry him right now. I was like, it's a muffin. She's like, you're an idiot.
So that story would be so much better if that was really your wife.
No, but oddly small world. My wife went to college with her. Didn't even know it, but they were at Carson Newman together.
That's crazy. It's funny.
Yeah.
There's so much to unpack already from that story, but the one thing, I love how cooking and whiskey, and I do 99.9% of the cooking in my household.
Yeah.
But I love how cooking and whiskey bring you back to those old factory memories and the old factory senses.
Yeah.
And all I could think of while you were telling that story was that my dad used to always have beside his recliner a jar of peanuts or cashews.
Yeah.
But we would always pour the fat into the old peanut can.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
And I was just thinking of that.
You know, we cook with that, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, we're all three of us are still here.
It's crazy. So you speeding up the story, I think, a little bit and wanting to give you justice. I'm assuming at that point you said, my heart's not here. I want to get back into restaurants.
Absolutely.
And then how did you work your way up to where you are now?
They're 24 years.
Throws back big gulp of bourbon.
Yeah.
Sum it up in about 30 seconds.
Right. No, I mean, it was just one of those where, I don't know, it's true. When you find work in your passion, it's not necessarily work. And a lot of people might dismiss it as work ethic or even stupidity, because there's plenty of times that I chose work over a lot of important things in life. And it wasn't necessarily about it being work. It was about it being fun. It was about it being like, I don't know, at 1 a.m. and I'm rolling foie gras Wellingtons. Like, I didn't look at it as necessarily as just this horrible thing I had to do. It's like, I got to get this done because we're going to sell them tomorrow. Like, this is epic, right? So yeah, it's funny. I got into the restaurant business. People ask me what my first job was there because they immediately think, oh, I just went out and got a job as the fry guy. What did Louis Anderson start in Coming to America? Was he on salads, or I forget what he's going to, because that's where the big money's at. Everybody thinks, oh yeah, you just start off as on the grill or what, and I did, and I started as a host. Again, I wanted to be in finance, and I started at this mom and pop restaurant, this local joint that we all went to, the west side of Knoxville where I grew up, and they didn't do reservations, they didn't do call ahead seating. You'd walk in, you'd give them your name, we'd write it up on the chalkboard, and you just kind of went in order. And my friend's parents would come in on Friday and slip me $10 or whatever, and $5 or probably back then it was $1. I don't know, it was 95. Like, it's a long time ago, right?
The gas was still under $1.
85 cents a gallon. It was, so $10 was a lot more meaningful. But anyway, so they would do that, and I'd put their name at the top of the list. And so the owner says to me one day, hey, are you taking bribes? And I was like, no. And again, stupid me, brioche isn't a muffin, right? I cooked it in a muffin tin. Whatever. Idiot. It's like, no. What are you, bribes? Those are bad things. Like, no.
And he's like, well, you should be.
Yeah, no, he says, people aren't coming in and paying you money to get ahead in the rest. I said, oh, you mean this comes in or that comes in? They give me a tip and I help them get a table quicker. He's like, that's a bribe, bro. Like, oh, come on. He goes, he said, I've known your parents a long time. They say you like to cook. You ever thought about working in a restaurant kitchen? I said, man, that sounds super fun. And I'll tell you how much fun it was. It's like, I remember my dad, we did a birthday for him. It was like his 45th birthday maybe or something. I don't remember. And I was working for Randy at the time. I went Sunday morning. We were having this big cookout, and it was basically I bought like 10 pounds of shrimp from Randy, got it for me at cost, and I went to use the kitchen to peel and devein them, get them on skewers and ready for the grill and everything. I thought I was a hot shot. It's like, dude, the dish guy didn't show up. Can you help me out? Like, yeah, man. So I ran dish for 3 or 4 hours until somebody else came in. I was just like, hell yeah, this is what I do. This is what I love it. And then still went to the cookout for my dad's birthday party and cooked everything. And, it was just part of it. It's just, and I didn't realize how much I loved it until I got out of it, and then realized this adulting thing sucks. I don't like having to wear suits.
I really enjoy though the fact that the way that you found your way into the back,
getting
into the
taking
back
bribes
of the house.
is financial means.
We're gonna put you in a place where people can't see you and give you money.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about that. I mean, that's like Zeke and I having faces for radio or podcast.
Yeah,
we're gonna put you in a place where people don't
see. For radio.
I get that one a lot. So
I'm sure I got that too.
All of this, you're in there. You work your way up. I'll skip ahead a little bit more.
Sure.
What made you decide to open 404 in the first place?
Oh, there was no decision really. It wasn't my idea. I almost turned it down. I'd worked for a big hotel in Charleston, and it's the same reason I turned down my mom's business. She had this super successful boarding kennel growing up, and it came time for her to retire. It's just like, you sure you don't want this? I told her forever I don't want it. And she's making just damn good money. Most of it's in cash and all these bonuses. And I said, no, because growing up, like the blizzard in 93, right? We didn't have power for 5 days, right?
I remember that. He would have been in New England, but it was rough in Georgia too.
Yeah, I mean, I was in Knoxville, and
what year wasn't a blizzard where I grew up?
Yeah, right,
That's
exactly.
what I wanna know.
But my parents, myself, my cousin, and his then wife, all in one room that we put quilts up all over the windows and doorways, and we're burning a wood-burning stove the whole time. There was 20 some odd trees down across our driveway. We couldn't leave the property for 5 days. Damn dogs and cats, 72 degrees, because we got propane heaters going, and they're fed twice a day, and their runs are cleaned twice a day, and we're trying not to freeze to death in our own home, but those buggers got it made. But that was the thing, like Christmas Day, you got up and you come on. Every day was about them first. Every night was about them last. It was 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I didn't want that. Like, we couldn't go on vacation anywhere without umpteen million plans to make sure the kennel was okay. And the girl that bought it from my parents, who I went to high school with, and her and her husband are doing extravagantly well. And literally, it's like no remorse, no jealousy, I didn't want it, right? And so between that and working at the hotel in Kiowa, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Christmas, who gives a shit? People are coming in to eat. Thanksgiving, you don't have a family, you have work. And so I got presented this idea, and there's going to be a hotel that's now pass. My buddy said, you should talk to this guy. All right, I'll talk to him. Sat down, a guy named Mark Banks is a developer here in town, and yeah, man, we just got to start to chat. It's like, this is going to be cool. And I said, room service, we got to have it. And I said, let's talk about it. Like, let's financially talk about it, because we got to pay a person $15 an hour to stay here all night in case somebody's wanting something. And the reality is, what are they going to want? A $12 sandwich. And maybe one room gets it. Maybe, let's say all 5 rooms get $12 sandwich. You're still talking $60. Hadn't paid for the overnight person. Yeah, they can do a little bit of prep here and there, but the reality is, it's unless you have 250 rooms, you're going to lose money at it. And so we kind of financially backed our way out of it, and then it was more of a boutique. It was almost an Airbnb as opposed to an actual hotel visit. And, it became this quaint little apartment in another city that you don't have to pay for. It became this home away from home. And that's kind of what we wanted to turn it into. So, and then the restaurant was like, when I started, the plans had one wood-burning oven and like a pizza oven and some refrigerators. And so we redid all of that, and the walk-in where it sits now was a parking place originally. It's like, dude, we got to have a walk-in. And it's not even a walk-in. I mean, the two of us couldn't stand in it together. It's the worst walk-in ever to go in and scream and punch things.
So I feel like it had to have put you in an advantage, not to interrupt you, but the whole finance side of your career. When you're looking at something, say a chef that really just goes in and just says, not saying that those chefs can't do it, but a chef might go in and just say, I really love cooking. And all I really care about is having a kitchen where I look, I need a grill here, I need a fridge here, I need that there. You're also coming in at it from, what's your ROI going to be? What's your credit versus your debit? What are you bringing in? Let's actually look at the books and see, is this something that's feasible before we even go do it?
Right. Well, it's that. But it's also, you look at it and you say, there's, in this business, too, it's weird because there is 1,000 ways to skin a cat. And sometimes people don't look at it out of ego or out of stupidity or out of unwillingness to learn. Some are just uberly cheap for the same reasons. So yeah, you get this kind of base model, and if you don't understand finance, you're not necessarily going to get it. It's just a lot of numbers out there. What do they all mean, and how do they all matter? But yeah, I mean, it was nice to be able to look at a spreadsheet and to look at a P&L statement and back our way into things.
Well, I'm sure you can't just follow your heart, put good food on the table, and end up with money at the end of the day. I mean, if that's the case, then that's where all the belly up restaurants come into play.
I heard a distiller say the best way to make a small fortune in distilling is start with a large fortune. Restaurants are an easy way to lose money quick.
Yeah, my dad, when I was growing up, he used to do liquidations for SBA, and every 90 days he was in New Orleans at some big
pulling up a restaurant.
I mean, restaurants, so much turnover. Like, we'd go down on Tuesday or Wednesday, and I knew what lotting and tagging was at a very tender age.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's funny too. Everybody talks about, hey, don't buy a new car; they depreciate so fast. Don't buy new restaurant equipment.
Oh yeah, I remember telling countless people
you get
that.
10 cents on the dollar the day you buy it.
You'd see somebody like, "Why the hell did you buy that? I can get you one for dirt." Like, there's 3 of them sitting there. Come on.
It's like, do you buy this $12,000 stand-up refrigerator, or do you buy the $2,000 one that needs $1,000 in work, and it's going to need $1,000 in work every 90 to 180 days? You can do that for several years before you're into the $12,000 mark, right? Yeah. And again, people let egos go past them. I mean, is that $600 toilet seat going to make a difference in your meal? Is that $20,000 lamp going to make a difference in your meal? Is that other than the real big shop places, a lot of those things don't matter.
Well, I want to take a break for a second, not for ads, because we're not taking a break for ads. I just want people to remember that we are a drinking show. I want people to remember that we are a drinking show first and foremost. Now, Chef Bolus has 3 wonderful whiskeys sitting on the table. All of these were picked by the 404 Kitchen and Matt and his crew. So the first one we have here is an Old Forester single barrel. Now, anybody who follows the whiskey community in Nashville, and for those of you that are listening and interested about the whiskey community in Nashville, this was actually a big deal. So Chef Bolus had an Old Forester dinner. Jackie Zyken came down here to 404 Kitchen. They went up there with her and actually picked this barrel. I was very sad that I missed out on that dinner, but there was a big to-do about it here in Nashville. And for people that are, we will get to this in the interview, but as I look on the shelf here, a lot of these now are 404 Kitchen picks. And if you think about kind of the 2 main places in town, and you see some other places starting to do it now, it was Husk and 404 Kitchen that were pretty much the places to go for whiskey picks, and this is a whole thing to talk about. But I say that, and Zeke, this might be the creamiest damn Old Forester single barrel I've ever had.
This is where I love our relationship, because you get to talk about it, and I just sit here and drink it with a big smile.
Oh, it's really good. I mean, I can't get over. I've had some of these that were good, but I've never had one that coats your mouth like this one does. And this is where we talk about whiskey, just so people remember that we do talk about whiskey first and foremost.
Well, we drink it as well. So.
We drink it, yeah.
But no, this is a great pick. There's something mid-palate that I can't verbalize at the time being, but it turns. It doesn't have it's not signature brown form, but it's not bad either. It's some off-profile curve that I can't put my finger on what it is, but it just does something right there.
It just does something right there.
I don't know. Well, no, I really can't describe it, but middle of my tongue, it turns, and it just doesn't do what Old Forester does in my mind.
No, the funny
the char
thing,
sits on it a little awkwardly. It's not too oaky, but you don't get that whole kind of banana-y, over fruity flavor. It definitely shows just a tad more age, and like if you're doing s'mores, this is definitely the marshmallow that the guy got a little bold on, and somebody says, you need to blow it out now, and he's like, 1, 2, 2, 9. Now it's right where you want it, son. Try that s'more.
Yeah, seriously, that's it, you know?
But it's like caramel. It's like caramel in the beginning, and then there's almost a green note in the middle. Not green in a youthful way, but like I know what you're saying. It's that little switch, and then it's a little more smoky on back palate.
Yeah.
Well, to me also too, there's just like candied cherry that I don't get on normal Old Forester, where it's like on the nose. There's a funk to it that is usually, for me, for Old Forester, it's more of a wood tannin that I get up front. And this is kind of like almost like a jar of Griot cherries that's about to go bad, but it ain't quite. And you're like, you tantalizing little things, you know?
No, and that green note, that's the funk. I think I'm getting.
Exactly.
It's like right mid palate. It's that funk. You said the word. I was trying to come up with.
It's at some point of like I said, almost going to turn into something else, and not what quite the younger predecessors are. But
right,
it's in a sweet spot for sure.
Do you know what the age is on that one?
It's 5 years old, I think.
That tastes a lot older than.
They're not old. None of these really are. I agree with you. Definitely tastes older than 5 years. Jackie was not necessarily happy from what she expressed when I picked it. She had pulled that barrel for the gift shop, and they got in the lineup.
So she wasn't. So it wasn't that she was upset that it was picked. She just wanted it picked for herself.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's just the wrong picker.
Yeah.
At first, I was waiting for you to be like, she didn't like this barrel, so she told me no. But no, it's completely
she
the
liked
other
the
way
barrel.
around.
She liked the barrel. Obviously, she just didn't. I don't know. She didn't think I would pick it, though. She didn't realize I was looking for funky.
Oh, no, that's like I'm going to do a pickup at Wild Turkey this week, and Bruce always talks about how there's a barrel that he really likes. He finds out that Eddie gave it away to somebody, and he gets all bummed out. Yeah,
well, I mean, Eddie was another one. When I picked that barrel of Kentucky Spirit, let's say Eddie's a man of few words, and I went through my Riesling wine. He just kind of stared at me. Oh, okay. And we just kept tasting barrels, and there was these three kind of off the way and under the window ugly barrels. I really wasn't even looking at them. I was looking out the window, and they just happened to be in front of me. And Eddie walked over, and he said, "These are the kind of barrels that you were talking about?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, I guess. I don't know." It was like,
play it off.
That was one of those that we picked. And so,
well, when you have the carte blanche to be able to have him open up just barrels that are sitting there, you know you've done something right.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wish. It got a little spoiled by some other distillers that kind of let us run around the rick houses with a drill and the Glencairn. And but to me, that's the personality of it. You know, there's no accountant or scan gun or anything else that tells you what's ready or what needs to leave. And you know, maybe this 4.5-year-old bourbon is just stellar.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not. And, you know, when you get 5 barrels in front of you or 3 barrels in front of you, you say, hey, this is the best we got. And my first question is, really?
I've seen places getting there.
No, I'm just some dude from Middle Tennessee. Like, you're telling me I came all the way to this distillery and this is you pulled the best 3 barrels you have in this entire joint?
No, I think it's sadly.
I find that to be a load of shit.
Well, it's going to slowly become more commonplace where people do just walk out and say, I mean, this is the best you got. I'll come back another day, but this isn't that far above par to be considered best to me.
And I think it's one of those things where I think it's really more in the past few years because, say, 5 years ago, you were going in, not everybody was going to do a barrel pick. It was a big undertaking for you as a business owner to put up $10,000 or whatever it is, saying, you know what, I'm going to buy this whole damn barrel.
Right.
Especially being a restaurateur, you're not seeing a restaurant go in saying like, all right, well, I'm going to buy an Elijah Craig barrel for $5,000.
Right.
Know that it's going to sit there because we might go through a case in 2 months.
That's the kicker.
And
it's
then
tough.
You have a store. You know, stores would have their barrel, but not everybody was getting behind it. So a store's being asked to put a bunch of overhead in on a prayer that people align with their palate and trust their palate. But now, I think it's almost kind of the tide has shifted in the sense that allocations are so hard to get or so expensive.
Yeah.
And this is no disrespect for you. I mean, when you go to a bar, getting a pour of something that's highly allocated, not everybody's going to spend $100 for an ounce of Pappy.
Sure. No.
I don't know what you charge here, but I'm just saying
It's not 100.
restaurants in general. But
Right. No. So that's the dilemma. And what are you trying to build? A curated list is what I'm trying to do. And you know what? Some of our prices aren't cheap. Some of our prices are. But the reality is when, 2 bottles hit Middle Tennessee, if you put that up there at cost, which we did, that lasted a week.
and so what he's pointing to, not to cut you off, but
obviously you can't see.
to describe to the listeners. So 2 bottles of OFC hit Middle Tennessee, and the first thing that Matt did is he went up on Instagram and he went up on Facebook and he said, listen, I'm going to offer this at cost to anybody who comes in. It's $100 an ounce. If you want to come in and have OFC, it's typically a $2,000 bottle. I'm going to put this up at cost and come on in and taste it. And I was one of those people that did it. And you guys might have seen my tasting notes on it. We don't have to go into it now, but I mean, that was a very stand-up thing to do. So thank you very much.
It went fast too, didn't it? It went fast too.
Yeah,
I tried to make it down.
Well, that's the thing. It lasted about a week, and so people out there going, but you offered it at cost. Well, the reality is, most of the people listening to this podcast are probably also on the secondary market, and so you take a bottle that's
wait. People complained that you offered it at cost.
No, I'm just saying, they'll say you don't have to make that much money on something. It's not about how much money you make. It's about the market, and when you put a bottle of William LaRue up on the shelf and you offer it at a normal margin, right? And you take this bottle and you say, okay, it's $28 a glass. How long's that bottle here? And that's literally, that bottle's here for 4 days tops at the very most, right? And so it's gone for the rest of the year, and you don't have a list. So you have to price it to close to the secondary market. People where they will enjoy it, but they won't come in and just Yeah. I mean, the 3 of us sitting here.
I'll take a 4-finger pour, Matt. Thanks.
I went to Birmingham to film some stuff with Southern Living, and we got there. My sous chef and I, or my chef de cuisine, and I got there late. There's a bar 2 doors down from the hotel, and we were looking for food, and we sat down. The guy's like, man, we're not serving food. There's a Waffle House across the street. If you want something, bring back over. We don't care. And I looked up. I said, oh, man, you go, well, they're 12. How much is that a pour? And the guy's like, oh, man, it's kind of expensive. And I thought,
it's $12.
How much is it? Oh, it's $10 a pour. And I said, we'll take 2 doubles, my man. and literally my CDC said, we drinking tonight? And I said, just this one. But if they've got that on the shelf, they've had it for a while, and at $10 a pour, and people in Birmingham think that's expensive, we're going to enjoy it again tomorrow. Sure enough, we did. And it was just like, and the guy, and there was he guy literally brings it out, the William LaRue, and he said, well, we got this if you want to try it. He said, this is $20 a glass. And I said, fantastic.
You were like, can I just take the ounces of that bottle, and it's still going to be cheaper than secondary. So we'll take the bottle off your hand.
So there's some places you get away with it, but the reality is we're trying to curate a list, and we want you to be able to try 4 different years of Thomas Handy in one sitting, or 3 years of Pappy 23 in one sitting if you want to do it. And is it expensive? Some is, some isn't.
It's a double-edged sword, though. I mean, think about it. If you're priced too low, then everybody's going to run in here and drink it. It's gone in a week. Well, everybody loved you if there were the few that got to drink it, but the rest of the population that was, hey, I was out of town, or I missed it, or I can't come into town in 2 months,
right,
and still pay for it at a reasonable price, but I know I can find it. So do you appease a small percentage of the masses in a very short span, or the whole other sect of the community?
Well, it's funny too. We got a guy that used to really kind of kind of shit on us. I don't know any other way to explain it. And I was at a raffle one time for an allocation raffle. And he introduces himself to me. And he said, I just want to tell you who I am. I said, I know exactly who you are. You're the guy that tells everybody not to come drink at my place. Like, he's like, yeah, well, your prices are stupid. And I said, and I just see you pay $850 for a bottle of Wild Turkey the other day. And he stared at me and I said, oh, that's right. I watch the boards too, my man. I said, and I'm pretty sure you sold that same bottle for like $950 or $1,000. I said, so you're okay selling it at secondary, but you won't drink it at secondary.
Oh, and it's
he said,
not even
that's not it. And I
secondary.
said, it's not. That's it. It's just not.
But there's always a happy medium. I mean, I think the seasoned bourbon drinker is going to understand, there's retail, there's restaurant price, and then there's secondary price.
Right.
And the restaurant price is going to fall somewhere in between. But going back to that OFC, and not to tell your secrets, you and I have never had a conversation about this. I mean, it's a hell of a marketing play. I got to give my hat off to you for that, because that's getting people in your restaurant. Well,
but also that square, I mean, it's that white tile you see there is by design. One day I want to have a case there, and what I want is kind of like milk for a grocery store, right? I mean, it's funny. If you look at my invoices, when we buy a gallon of milk here, it's about twice the price it is at the grocery. It's because grocery stores typically just don't make any money on milk. It's their loss leader. You come in because this Kroger has $1.99 gallons of milk or whatever, and then you buy everything else, right?
Yep.
Cool. Gasoline's the same way. Gas companies don't make that much at the pump. They make more when you go inside. And so, but also in the sense of, hey, I'm not personally going to buy a $2,500 bottle to have at home and sip on. And maybe there's plenty of guys I know that do, but also it's like secondary. Let's talk about them. That's a $6,000-$7,000 bottle secondary. Like, hell with it. Let's just put it up. And then I'm trying to, knock on wood, hopefully somebody hears this because we've talked about it. Maybe the next one's a double eagle, and we put it up. Maybe I can get somebody to clear an old 60s bottles of old Fitzgerald or an old 40s bottle of old Taylor, stuff like that. And get that, a bottle of Jack Daniels, a true Sinatra era Jack Daniels, right? Sinatra formula. Like,
I think we have a mutual friend that could probably.
Oh yeah, well, exactly. But I'm saying, like, let's put that.
He might live across the street.
He may live close. Let's put that up, and let's let people enjoy it. Like, and again, I'm not going to buy a $2,500 bottle. But I'll pay $100 for a glass of it because I want to try it.
A lot of the more allocated stuff, when you can get your hands on it, call up all your buddies. All right, we all know what we're paying. We need this many hands in the pot. Everybody gets an equal split. We can all say we tasted it.
That's
and
exactly
keep
right.
Moving. No, it's almost the best way to, I guess, enjoy allocated bourbon this day and age.
Well, or maybe the only way. Or I tried I was at Burn Steakhouse and paid $65 at the time, 10, 12 years ago, for a glass of 1865 cognac, right? And it was like the half ounce or the 1 ounce pour or whatever. The somm comes up and says, hey, the 1865 is out of stock forever. It's like, yeah, it's typically what happens with 150-year-old cognac. Like,
they're not bringing that one back, huh?
He's like, will the 1841 suffice? And I was like,
for the same price?
I guess. And yeah, for the same price. And it's like, and the reality was, I wasn't drinking it because 1841 cognac was a great vintage. I was drinking it for the novelty of drinking something from 1841. But at the same time, like some of these Van Winkles, I'm just not going to pay you $2,000, $2,300, $2,500, $2,800 for a bottle of it.
Hell no.
I'm just not. But I'll pay you $150 for a glass to try it. Yeah. I mean,
well, I'll tell you. I mean, I always tell people one of my favorite picks that you have here, and everybody says, I go in, and it's kind of the reason for our show. People get overwhelmed when they go into a liquor store. Like, 404 Kitchen OWA might be one of the best picks. Like, you come in here, you get that OWA, you're never going to be disappointed. I think it's better. I mean, we've done a blind in an episode where we did 2 OWA picks up against an old rip, and we did it blind, and the OWA picks won. So it's one of those things where you find something that's really good and you trust the palate that is behind it.
Yeah.
Which brings me to another question for you. So you're a food guy. I mean,
I play one on TV.
True. But, I mean, more so than some other people, you might be in tune to your senses and how things hit your palate because it's something that you have been trained to do. How do you bring that into whiskey, and then what do you look for when you're picking a whiskey?
So to me, I love the fact that you asked that because it's been an idea on my mind, and I've talked to Drew Colesine about it, and I've talked to Marianne Barnes about it, and I've talked to a buddy of mine, Javier Villegas, who's a big tequila and mezcal importer, and there's certain formulas that I know that I like, and there's not one that I know that I don't like. So I don't necessarily, lean towards a certain mash bill or not. I lean towards whiskey that's good, and maybe it's got more barley in it than you would expect, or more wheat, or more rye, or hell, maybe it's just all corn. To me, it doesn't matter. Like I don't buy or pick based on names or formulas or anything else. It's the stuff that when you taste it, you go, Jesus. What is this nectar that I'm sipping on right now? And same thing with food. I heard a great quote one time. This chef in Charleston's like, so I spent all this time growing this damn heirloom tomato, and instead of just slicing it and putting salt on it and enjoying it for the beauty that it is, which are delicious, I turned it into a foam and a cloud and spray it in the air and you sniff it and everything. I was like, why? It's like I just want good food, and that's what it's about. It's just about good food. It's just about a good drink. Is it 8 years old? Is it 2 years old? Is it 20 years old? I mean, you know what? I've had 2-year-old whiskeys that are killer. I've had 25-year-old whiskeys that are horrible. And so to me, there's no specific like rhyme or reason to it. It's more of a it is what it is.
So is it a mouthfeel thing then?
It can be. What do you mean mouthfeel? It can be an aftertaste. It can be the initial flavor. It can be the nose. To me, it's got to be balanced too. There's the one-sided is you just don't want a glass that you want to sit there and smell the whole time, or a glass that you have to hold your nose just to drink. But damn it, it's delicious when you do that. I mean, you're just trying to get a buzz at that point. But it's about overall. Get a lot of that. It's about overall balance, and some just hit you. But sometimes like you'll get something that's just like a big, I don't know, brown sugar or maple syrup bomb. It is kind of one-sided, but damn, it's just so good. It's like I'll take it. Sometimes you take an overload of movie popcorn when you're at the movies. Like you don't want that kind of buttery bullshit every day in your life. You're sitting there in the movies with a big fountain Coke that the governor of New York won't let you drink legally anymore, and that generically fake buttered popcorn to your side.
Got you that time.
And you know what? And you're gonna sip and eat and sip and eat, and you're gonna wipe that completely fake chemical all over your pants. That shit's never coming out. Never coming out of your system either, by the way. But it's just perfect on a hot summer day in a nice cold movie theater, right?
Chef has now caught us both at the perfect timing of having a pour, and he says something just off the wall, and we have both had it come out of our nose a little bit right now, I'm pretty sure. I mean, John was most recently a victim.
Whiskey coming out of your nose.
I'm not sure if we have a central theme behind this interview, but it has been one of my favorite interviews.
You're talking to a chef. It's all rabbit holes, my man.
Oh, yeah. So normally he tries to time something out to catch me on those, so the fact that he got caught's even better.
Oh, I always try to give a cheesy dad joke right when Zeke is trying to take a sip of something, so he just looks at me like, what the? By the way, rabbit hole, you haven't had the maple Four Roses from Lincoln Road?
No.
That he just picked?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I've never had something that was like, you know how they have those bourbon maple syrups now?
Yeah.
That thing was like a bourbon maple syrup, but it was actually a Four Roses.
So that's the thing, Dan and Brett are sitting on stuff, and I don't know how you unlock the keys to the goodies, but every now and then some of these guys are pulling these barrels. Not that Four Roses is bad, but you taste some that just blow your mind that they're Four Roses.
Supposedly that mutual friend might know Brett Wells.
Well, I mean,
also
we've tried. Yeah, we've tried getting them liquored up. We've tried inviting them over. We've tried feeding them dinner.
What's the man got to do around here to get a favor?
I mean, seriously.
The 404 Four Roses pick, lots of fours there, but the Four Roses pick that you did last year, we both got a bottle of that. It was great.
We burned through that. It just burned through it.
Not saying, one might have fallen off the truck and into our cabinet, but it's a great.
Have you been on 440? Bumpy roads, man. Shut.
The whole thing is tore up.
Thank God they're fixing it. None of that bourbon's going to fall off anymore.
But it goes back to something that you were bringing up earlier, though, and where I was going before we had a big rabbit hole. I almost think because now picks are the place to be, and picks are what everyone is gravitating to. I should use correct English.
Well, it's personal.
But it's one of those things though where for distilleries it's not as personal as it is for us.
Well, but I think they're getting out of the realization, like you take somebody like Jack Daniels, they're such a recognizable brand that for them to have the mindset of every bottle of Jack that you taste is just like every bottle of Jack you ever tasted, completely understandable. Like same with Coca-Cola. You try it. I just, as I'm thinking about that, it's just not true because Mexican Coke is so much better. But
what's the sugar?
But it's that brand. It's Starbucks. Everywhere you go, it tastes the same. Like worldwide, I think some players are getting out of that mindset and realizing, the nuances of individual barrels are better. And hell, I was at Willett last week doing a tasting, and Drew handed me a glass, and she's like, "God, this is only how old?" And he told me, he said, "Your boy passed us up." And I immediately texted this guy. I'm like, "How drunk were you when you were up here?" And he's like, "It wasn't at all, man. I wanted something. I was going for a spicier profile." I was like, "That's it." Like John and my buddy was John Currents, is chef in Oxford. John was looking for a spicier bourbon. He wasn't looking for the smoother, sweeter side or anything else. And so for him, that barrel wasn't the perfect barrel. And that's the reality. This isn't the perfect barrel of Old Forester. We all love it. There's plenty out there like, doesn't taste like Old Forester. Well, I mean, it kind of does. It doesn't taste like every Old Forester you pull off the shelf, but it's Old Forester-esque, right? The same thing with the Elijah Craig. Or I mean, just for as many people as there are that like it, there's plenty of people that aren't.
Well, the funny thing is, as we're going through this Elijah Craig, and the problem I have is I keep blowing through these because they're so good.
Well, and blowing it out your nose a little bit.
And blowing out my nose a little bit. But this Elijah Craig, I mean, if I'm getting a theme here, these are two very creamy picks of something that, typically would be a mid-tier bourbon. An Elijah Craig is a $30 bottle. Yep. Old Forester is Old Forester single barrels a $40 to $50 bottle.
Yep.
But these, they are like a freshman in high school that hangs out with all the seniors. They are
a little more refined than you would expect.
Yeah, they are old souls.
Not as gangly walking down the road. That's the thing, and all the single barrel pickers in the world, we want to pick the unicorn, obviously. But the reality is, the unicorns aren't just.
Yeah, I think as soon as you give that up, you do yourself a big favor. You might find it one day, you might not, but as long as you walk out the door happy with what you have.
If you're always worried about what you're going to miss everything, right?
Yep.
And so, you're right. Once you get it out of your mind that I can only pick unicorns, you're going to pick some fun stuff.
Because we've talked to people that, they get at least what they perceive as being their unicorn, and after that, they're more or less just screwed. Like they go and taste it, and it's like, it's good, but it's not as good as my last one. What else do you have?
I've picked a unicorn, and one of my closest friends, this was the first person to say, "Yeah, I don't like it." "Hey, you do?" He said, "No, I don't."
So I guess I can take these I put aside for you back, right?
Well, no, just like you know, and this person is deep in this world, and I knew he wouldn't like it. I knew it as soon as I tasted it. It's like, I mean, literally one of my first thoughts was, yeah, he's not gonna like it. But it's okay, you know, because there's however many more out there for all of us to enjoy. Just say this is 8 years old, if I remember right.
But this a lot. I mean, it's funny because you say you don't look for anything in particular. I still describe this Elijah Craig. I mean, it's got a creaminess to it. It's funny, and a lot of your picks, the OWA pick, I thought the same thing, and some of the other ones I had. It's a mouthfeel aspect of it to me, and maybe it's a subconscious thing. Maybe we're sitting on the couch and I'm learning more about you than you thought you knew about yourself. But there is a mouthfeel creaminess to these that you don't get typically in some of these picks. I mean, Elijah Craig is like a daily drinker at 94 proof that I know I'm going to be able to have 2 or 3 and not phase it. And when I'm working late at night and I have the computer open, everything's okay.
Yeah.
And it's
very compartmental that flows very well to me. It's kind of hard for me to have that dichotomy of something being singled out but at the same time flowing. But with John's creaminess note, and to me the compartmentalness that just flows of an initial burst of just real nice sweetness right up front. Then your rye kind of just kicks in just enough to say, hey, this isn't water. And then right on the back, there's just enough oak to show age. So, you know, on paper, there's really nothing else that's missing from this. And the fact that it just flows from front to back. And
it's got a minerality, too, that is replaced where normally I would get the kind of, I don't want to say lackluster, but sometimes quick finish or sharp finish or tannic finish that I normally get off Elijah Craig.
I think, too, like, you know, the whiskey dinners and other stuff you guys do here as far as educational type stuff, that's perfect. You can describe every single component and aspect of, you know, the grains, what the age did to it, etc. And I think any lay person is like, oh, well, shit, it all makes sense now.
Yeah, well, I mean, you do. You get a lot, you know, there's a lot you can taste from the different grains in there for sure. I guess there is kind of a fattiness to it. And that, you know, it's one of the things I tell people, like, don't eat a fat-free diet. I'm a flavor-driven guy, not a, hey, this is what you should eat kind of guy. Clearly.
I mean, we're all at fault here, I think. Nobody can point any fingers.
I don't want to end this interview, and by no means is this a way to end the interview right now, but to sum up your life.
Oh, God.
You have
It's a very short summation.
It's a very short summation, but you're going to call me a wise sage.
Oh, yeah?
It's almost like throwing away the fat with your mom made you chase the fat for the rest of your life.
Maybe. It's one of the few real distinct cooking memories that I have, and that's one of them. And I can tell you, I mean, like, and I also kind of remember thinking at Boy Scout games, like, man, spaghetti's good. You know?
Dutch oven cooking is wonderful.
You know what I used to make all the time that I wish people still made, and it was hamburger helper, but it wasn't the hamburger helper in the way of, like, you buy the hamburger helper with the oven mitt that talked.
Right.
It was you actually got mac and cheese, and you got the hamburger, and you cooked it all up, and then you mixed them both together. Like, it wasn't the way that, you know, so I would always tell my parents when I was younger, like, I'm going to cook, and I always made macaroni and cheese and hamburger and put it together.
Yeah.
But but I kept the fat.
So I did make this epic chili one time in the Boy Scouts. We were doing the patrol style where everybody pulls together in big Dutch ovens and all that.
Right.
So I transcribed the recipe at the Scout Hut on Monday night for chili and whatnot. Me and Mom go to the grocery, go and buy all the ingredients. You know, one guy puts the bill and we split it on the back end. We start grabbing onions and green peppers. God love her, Mom's like, now how many you need? I'm like, it says 11 and a half cups. She's like, well, I mean, you did say the whole troop was going, and I guess you are feeding everybody, so I could see it maybe makes sense. So we get out there on, following Saturday, and we're out there cutting, and everybody's doing prep, or, whatever you want to call it back then, your kids. Well, here come the Scoutmasters, and now granted, we're at least a third of the way into these 11 and a half cups of onions. And we're literally taking turns rotating from the tiers.
Right. Yeah.
And the Scoutmaster loved to give me a hard time. I think they all did, and I took it with a grain of salt as well. But what in the hell are you doing, boy? Well, the recipe book said 11 and a half cups. They said, who in the hell are you going to feed that chili to? Nobody's going to touch it. Turns out when we got back on Monday at the Scout Hut again, it was 1.5 cups.
Sure.
Luckily, they did interject and say, I don't care what you think you wrote down. You're not putting that much food in there because then all you little bastards are going to be hungry later and there's not going to be food for 20-something kids. But I never lived that one down. It was just known as 11.5 cups there for a while.
Absolutely. Yeah, as you should be.
So this next one here is something that's out of North
out
Carolina.
Of Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte, North Carolina. American single malt.
And I met Ollie a couple weeks ago. Yep. He was at the Nashville Cocktail Festival.
Jolly old Irishman. Ollie Mulligan.
He's a hell of a guy.
He's a hoot. Huh?
We're trying to get him on at some point, but
now might be worth the drive to Charlotte.
Really?
I haven't been to this place. I want to go. We're kind of burning through these bottles, so
road trip.
I know it'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we'll go.
Well, maybe pick another barrel.
We couldn't get it cleared from the better halves, but we try to go.
We just need to find somebody with a plane.
You know someone with a plane.
We both do.
Yeah. He's our golfing buddy.
Yeah, we still play golf.
Last time we golfed was Father's Day 3 years ago.
Yeah. I've never been a big golfer.
No, but Zeke and I used to golf together all the time with this guy. Yes. And I think the last time we golfed...
I hadn't seen Tripp in a while. I'll have to look him up.
Yeah, he's a good dude, though. And he likes whiskey.
Yeah.
So that's how epic barrel picks happen, you see. There's planes and booze and
that would be no different than doing a barrel pick. This is no different than a weekday barrel pick. We just fly out in the morning, do the pick, and fly back, and we're home at the right time.
That's it.
Kids get picked up from daycare, and
as long as I'm home to make dinner, everything's okay.
That's it.
So this one, you picked this, and you were saying that there were 2 different barrels.
Yeah, Ollie brought in 6 samples, and we went through them, and I kind of explained what I'm looking for, and kind of the edgy one. There's always a pick you fall in love with, and there's a pick that you want to love. It's got a little bit too much edge to it. You wouldn't necessarily take it home to mom and dad, right? And so we went through this barrel picks, and I told him, I said, this bottle of this is the best one. And he said, I agree. And I said, this is the one I'll take. I mean, you'd have thought I'd called his daughter ugly. I don't understand. What do you... You just said that's the best. I said it is, but it's the best right now. As it sits, it's the best. As with the amount of oxygenation that's happened, it's the best. With the amount of filtration, it's the best. But it still has to go through however many miles of tubing, and shaken up and spit out and sprayed back in and filtered through, and all these things that it goes through. And that's going to change this kind of edginess. It's going to polish. And he stared at me for a second. I thought, it's going to go bad. Shit, this isn't going to end well. And he said, no, bottle it myself. I said, right, the bottling line. He said, no, I'll hand bottle it. I won't filter it. I said, all right, I'll go with this one then. And he did. He put it on the forklift and set it on the Coke machine or whatever, and poured it out through a funnel of just a coffee filter and bottled it.
Oh, and it's funny because, I dabble in Scotch more so than Zeke, but I really do like the American malts that have that barley aspect to it.
Yeah.
That it doesn't have the peat though, and it's not. I feel like an American malt, it's not an Irish whiskey where it really goes down. People hate that word, smooth. But it goes down. Irish whiskey goes down smooth.
That's 115 proof.
This is 115 proof, and it has a little kick to it. You can tell in your finish. You're
just barely though.
It's very, very barely, but it's a little bit of heat in the throat. It's not in the chest. But I do like American malts because they have that barley aspect of it. It's almost like Old Elk now is doing that too, from a bourbon point of view. That more maltiness, the Stranahans. Old Elk, it's a very palatable malt.
Yeah, I mean it's a 2-row Pilsner. It's it's stored inside in a 4-tier if you say, but it's like 4 level of barrels, 35-gallon barrels. I mean that's only 18 months old. That's the real kicker.
And I don't get the citrus and the youth that you would get.
None. As a matter of fact, what I get really, what sold me on it was right at the top of that glass. It's like sausage and pancakes and maple syrup. It's just every time I drink this, I want breakfast.
It's a breakfast shot.
A lot of times I get those oatmeal drop cookies. Mm-hmm. There's a little something else to it because it's not quite oatmeal and light milk chocolate.
Yeah, but it's like an oatmeal drop where somebody decided to use dark brown sugar instead of white granulated.
So big question here, and this is where I really see bourbon going, and you would be a great person to ask. How often, because you always have wine pairings.
Yeah.
And everybody talks about this wine pairs with this meal.
Yeah.
When are we going to have bourbon pairings where you have different types of bourbon, whether or not it's a wheater or a low proof or a high rye?
We do that now when we do these whiskey dinners. And I'm getting more and more into it because I think you can. It was funny. I hate to say it. I was at a place that I won't mention the name, and I mentioned pairing whiskeys, particularly bourbons, with food, and the bartender told me you should never do that because you'll kill the food. I wanted to choke this dude.
You were like, do you know who I am?
No, that thought didn't come to my mind. No, the thought that came to my mind. No. Say it all you want, because the thought that came to my mind was, do you know who your fucking boss is? You shouldn't be saying this at all. If you knew what your boss did, you'd be ashamed of yourself. Because I think you can, and I was talking to Javier about this exact concept. They're doing it. He's trying to do it with mezcals, and he's getting pushed back because mezcal is kind of the
I can see that getting pushed back.
Crazy brother of tequila, right?
Yeah.
To me, mezcal is the whiskey of the agave world, right? Every tequila I've ever tasted is reminiscent of every tequila I've ever tasted. You have lighter, heavier, richer, smoother, less refined. Mezcals, though, you have herbaceous and mineral and salty and smoky and citrus and sweet and light and floral, and everyone is different. Everyone's agave, but everyone is different. And so to me, mezcal is the whiskey of the tequila world, but why would it not pair good with food? I mean, I love whiskey, right? But if we're going to go sit on the beach right now and I'm going to hand you half a coconut full of ceviche, you want a Rua? Or do you want a great chilled mezcal? Because I want the mezcal. I'm going to kind of get that whiskey burn and that smoky.
Although it does scare off a lot of people.
Oh, it does.
I've got one friend that he and I both enjoy mezcal, and countless that if I say mezcal, they walk out of the room.
I love mezcal. And actually, Javier and I, because he might have just obtained a Weller 107 that I picked.
It's a great pick.
I don't know how. And I might have just obtained a bottle of his mezcal. And so we're on we have a partnership where every month he finds a particular bottle of whiskey and I find a particular bottle of mezcal, and we share all the information about it. And you want to talk about a ride. I mean, it's been some of these, when we think that there's whiskey snobs and there's people that are true to form and pure in their ways of production or whatever, some of these mezcal producers haven't changed in forever.
Oh, man. Well, that's a whole rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah, I told you. You're talking to a chef, man. It's
we'll come back. We will do a part 2 here sometime.
All right.
But
I'm usually here.
I want to talk about...
Except when I'm not.
Well, I think the better thing is if we could mic ourselves up and then we go in the kitchen.
Just chat.
That would be fun, right? Watch us try to cook next to you. But there's a bunch of lockers here in the bar. And if you come into Gertie's bar, and one thing I should ask is, that's an interesting name for a bar.
Right.
How did you pick the name Gertie?
So we wanted to basically name it after a bootlegger. It's kind of down underground. It's in the basement of the restaurant. It's And we started researching bootleggers, and what we found was, well, one, you can't just name it Capones because there's too many Capones out there, and two, most of these dudes do pretty heinous individuals. Like, they did some really bad shit. And I mean, just like, everything's great. Oh, man, you murdered 91 people. Damn, okay, can't name it after you. One of my partners was researching for whatever reason. He said, it's like you typically name a boat after a woman or whatever. And so he said female bootleggers. And his name, Cleo Lithgow, came up. And we started researching her. And Gertrude Lithgow was a lady rum runner. And just a badass woman. She was partners with Bill McCoy. That's where we get the name The Real McCoy, because Bill didn't water down his booze. So if you got The Real McCoy, you got legit spirits, right? She retired from rum running and opened a rental car agency in Detroit, Michigan. It's been great. The Chicago Tribune wrote an article about her during Prohibition, where she got into a fight with a cab driver in New York City because the cabbie couldn't break $1,000 bill, and that's all she had in her purse. It's $1,000 bills, right? And this lady was a truly badass woman. Her family's got in touch with me, and they've been here for dinner. And I've learned so many things. Like, she took care of her sister who was deaf and mute. She took care of her all her life, right? She carried a gun with her all her life. She dressed like this crazy. What was the period? The dancers back in the Prohibition, how those ladies dance. I mean, she was always very eclectic, right? But this lady that grew up with Aunt Gertrude, like, yeah, so she would have my dad take her to the bank, which meant drop me off at the corner and come back in 20 minutes. And she'd be at the corner in 20 minutes and have a purse full of cash and a pistol. Nobody knew where the bank was. Like, she knew Al Capone. Didn't like him because she couldn't trust him. Like, this lady was, and you never read about female bootleggers. No. And either there weren't that many, which may be the case, or they just kept secrets better than dudes, which is probably the case.
A lot on both sides of that coin, I'm pretty sure. A lot
less of an ego, right? And so that's what we came up with Gertie's.
Well, that's a great name.
It's kind of fun.
You guys have a whiskey program here now, which sets you apart from other places in town.
So we have these private lockers, and you come in. The lockers are free. You just have to commit to so many bottles a year to buy, 12 months. And it's the barrel picks that we do, and it's not every one of them, because it's some. Some we only get X amount of bottles of, and we just don't have enough to give to everybody. So, but for the most part, it's all the barrel picks we do, and we store them in the locker for you. And you come in and with your friends and drink them and eat with us, and we do different events throughout the year, different tastings. Every couple of weeks, we'll do a Whiskey Wednesday where all the members are notified first, and they want to come in, and we'll try stuff with distillers or new barrel picks we're about to release, or just for fun.
Well, you gotta admit, it's pretty badass. Like, if you're taking a significant other, or you're on a date, you're like, hold on, let's go to this place. Yeah, yes, please open my locker. And
well, you don't get this bottle of Jack Black out. Not that there's anything wrong with Jack Black, but you talk about, oh, what's the rarest bottle in here? And people immediately they point to Pappy, right? Oh, it's that Van Winkle. It's like, well, I mean, if you look online, there was 11,000 bottles of that produced.
Well, I mean, the discerning eye...
96 of those.
But the discerning eye, you look here, and it's like, you have the Eclipse Medley, which that is probably one of the rarest bottles that you're going to see up there. That is a bottle that was picked on the total solar eclipse.
Lunar eclipse, yeah.
You have some other stuff up there that is not... They're not things that you can get everywhere. Your barrel picked, just like you said, your Rua. There's less Rua that was picked by 404 than there is lot Bs in this world.
Yeah, John, I don't think a significant other or a date's really going to be impressed by what's in the locker, though. But you bring in some good friends, drinking friends. Now that's who you're going to impress, though.
But you have a private locker full of private barrels, and we've got.
Well, that's impressive, right? Maybe I'm just like
we've got like
you bring the wife, and she's going to say, "Oh, one more thing you spent money on for booze, huh?" we both know where that's going.
Maybe I'm just thinking of how I could pick Zeke up. I don't know
exactly. This is me bringing some of our friends in here and going. check this shit out.
Yeah.
Hey man, can you open number 32 for me?
Exactly.
There's something in there waiting. Thanks.
Exactly. But people are coming to us and distillers saying, "Hey, can we throw a load of X in the lockers?" Like, why not? Don't care. And that's the other thing too. Like with some older bottles, I want to find something that I can get. Maybe I find it in an auction or something like that. But it's like, great, here we go. There's so many ounces in this bottle, and we're gonna fill every bottle halfway up until there. It's like, great, guys. Not a big taste, but next time you're in, there's a 1 ounce pour of this.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's just fun, and what it is it's really not about making money. What it is about collecting a group of people that when they come in, we already know what they want to enjoy, which means we can just make your experience that much better.
Yeah, it's just family.
That's it. Exactly. It's an extended family. We're trying to put more up here. Overall, I'd like to get to 75 to 100-ish altogether. Maybe we cap it at 75 or so, just because I'm a numbers guy. The lockers are in 15 locker increments, and you can't get to 100 evenly with 15 locker increments. So
no, 75
to 90. 90's the only even number you get to, but that's it. But then too, we can get some really cool barrels because we don't have to sit on too much. We just burn through them, and some barrels you can buy a bottle of, some you can buy 4 bottles of.
Well, that would be awesome, and we love seeing what you've done, how you've grown. We'd love to come back here sometime and sit with you again. We really appreciate it. But Matt and Chef Bolus, thank you. Gotta give you.
I feel like you're talking to my dad, but he can't cook.
But it's one of those things. It's funny. You always call a chef like chef, but you don't always call. It's just one of those things. Like it's one of those titles, like doctor. It's like. He's Dr. Baker, but I never call him Dr. Baker.
Right.
But you always call Chef.
No one calls me that.
He's a pharmacist. You only have to do that when you're sending him a wedding invite.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only time.
That's only
Dr.
for
Baker,
my
my
other
kid's
pharmacy
getting out of high
friends.
school.
Yeah, that's the only time you mention Dr.
Those just hit, actually. I got 2 this past week.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, Matt, we appreciate having you on. We love everything you're doing. If you guys are coming into Nashville, please come to the 404 Kitchen. It's just a great place. Gertie's bar. If you saw this bar, it's crazy awesome. Come down here, check it out. Zeke, you know where the folks can check us out? Well, actually, wait. Matt, anything you want to say?
No, Matt, this has been great.
No,
yeah.
Matt, anything you want to say before we go?
No, just thanks for coming down. You're welcome back anytime.
We'll be here.
Hey, for once they didn't throw us out of a place.
I know, and don't say that because you will eventually.
They haven't kicked me out yet.
Zeke, if the folks want to find us, they can find us on Facebook at Dad's Drinking Bourbon, Twitter at Bourbon Dads, Instagram at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. You can find us on your favorite podcast app. Please leave us an open and honest review, just like we openly and honestly review whiskey. You can also join our Facebook group, Dad's Drinking Bourbon. It's 3,000 and growing. Please join the conversation. We'd love to have you there and answer a couple of questions, and we will let you in. Zeke, where else can the folks find us?
Good old Nashville, Tennessee.
Cheers.
Ciao.